So we just saw that if the pollen grains of one flower stick to the stigma of the same flower or the flower of the same plant, it is called as self-pollination. And if the pollen grains from one flower of one plant goes and sits on the uh, flower of the stigma of another plant, another flower of the same species, we call it as cross-pollination. So the agents of cross-pollination, first one is insects. So let's talk about the pollination by insects. So first one is insect pollinated flower or pollination by insects. So we have seen many times that the butterfly, the bee, every time they will be moving around on the flowers. So the flowers are going to be, these bees or insects are always going to be seen around the flower. Now, what is the reason? Not that they are going to be a part and parcel because they know that they are helping them in pollination. No, not that way. The insect pollinated flowers are made in such a way that they attract insects towards it. And for that attraction, what they do is that they produce certain kinds of incentives for the insects. First of all, they become very bright, showy. So the flowers will be very big, very brightly colored, very decorative kind. So that will be the first thing. Second thing is they may have nectaries. Now nectaries are, we can consider the sweet nectar, what is the honey, what is there, which is produced, or the fragrance kind of thing which is going to be produced by the flower, so that the insects are attracted to it and they can extract that particular nectar from them. So the insects are first attracted by the color and then they are entering into the flower to collect the nectar. Here the structure of the pollen grain is so suited that these pollen grains will be very sticky in nature. And so when that particular insect is entering into the flower, these pollen grains which are there on the anther are going to stick to the body of the insect. So now what happens? The insect has come, entered into the flower to collect the nectar, but in a way, while it is collecting the nectar, it has got some pollen grains stuck to its body. Then this particular insect is going to go to the other flower. Now the other flower of other plant, when it goes to other flower of the plant, again it is trying to enter inside to take the nectar. And if this is a female flower, then whatever pollen grain was stuck to its body, one of the pollen grain can definitely have been placed on the stigma, because we know that stigma is also sticky in nature. So that stickiness will attract the pollen grains towards it and the pollen grains get stuck to that stigma. So in this way the pollination can take place with the help of insects. So we see butterflies, bees and other insects visit flower for nectar, honey. When the insect alights on a flower, the pollen grain sticks to its mouth parts, wings, legs, etc. So it could be anywhere. The mouth part, the wings, the legs, kahin pe bhi. Pollen grain can stick to them very easily. When this insect visits another flower, the pollen grain from its body may fall on its stigma. Such transfer of pollen grain is called as insect pollination. So when insects are helping the pollination to take place, it's called as insect pollination. Rose, marigold, dahlia, salvia are some of the insect pollinated flowers. So that is what they are given you in the figure over here, that the flower is there and the insect is going inside. So the stigma which is here, it is going to collect the pollen grain which will stick to the body of the bee or that insect. So now we understand what are the specialties of the insect pollinated flowers. So insect pollinated flowers, you will always find there are some specific kind of characteristics of that particular flower. The first thing is the flower will be large, colorful, attractive. Okay. The flowers are large with colored petals to attract insects. So first and the foremost characteristics of those flowers will be they are large, colorful and attractive. The second thing, these are scented so that insects locate the flowers by smell. So they are, the second thing, they are scented so that they can easily be located by the smell with the help by the insect. So insect can easily smell those and reach them. Third, these contain nectar as food for insects. So they have nectar so that they are attracting the insect to come to them to collect the food. So nectar is a food for the insects. So that is how the plants are attracting the insects towards them. And finally, these produce sticky pollen grains so that they may stick to the body parts of the insects. The body parts of the insects, it needs to stick to the body parts of the insects. So that's why the pollen grains are sticky pollen grains. So the next one is they have a sticky pollen grains. So the pollen grains which are there are sticky so that they can get stuck to the body of the insects. So the body of the insects के ऊपर sticky pollen grains are there. So they are given some activity which is not so important. You can skip those. So we come certain animals like birds, squirrels, bats, etc. also bring about cross pollination in some flowers. So it is not only the insects which are going to be giving the plants the cross pollination, but it could be also some birds, squirrel, rat also which could be help the plants for pollination. They are given us to try something, that is take the anther powdery thing and rub it in your fingers, and okay, that is exactly right. So yes, and gently touch its anther with one finger of your other hand. Some powdery mass will stick to your finger. The powdery mass is nothing but the pollen consisting of fine powder particles or the pollen grains. So the anther, if you touch on the anther, you are going to get that particular pollen grains. Now rub your finger on the sheet of the paper. The pollen grains will be transferred to the paper. This is exactly what happens when an insect visits two flowers, one after the other. So this is exactly this, that when you are touching that particular thing, so it is going to be finger, two different flowers also, you can get that particular kind of marking on it. So that's not so important as such, so doesn't matter. We go next to the pollination by wind. So this was pollination by insect. The next one is pollination by wind. We now move on to the next kind of agent for pollination, that is wind. So pollination by wind. So in this case, it is seen that the flowers over here will be having the anther, which will be having a huge quantity of pollen grains. The reason is very simple. You can imagine if wind is going to blow the pollen grains, अगर वो गिन के 10-12 pollen grain है तो कहाँ जाएगा? You can't even imagine where it will land up and how it is going to reach the stigma of a flower. So only if they are in huge quantity, then it will happen that they are flying off and some of them can reach into the stigma of another flower. So that's why main purpose is that they should be so lightweight and not sticky that they could fly off with the wind. Secondly, they should be in huge quantity. भले फिर plant जो है, flower जो है, it is very dull colorless, non-attractive, but only anther should be proper. Stigma should be sticky and protruding up so that हवा से जब भी वो pollen grain आता है तो catch करने के लिए कुछ तो चाहिए. For catching that thing, you require that particular stigma to be on the top. So you can see that wind pollinated flowers will be the ones in which the pollen grains will be of huge quantity and the stigma will be protruding out sticky so that it can stick to it. That's the main reason, main kind of a characteristic. So pollination by wind, some plants like maize, palm, pine, etc. produce dry pollen in large quantity. When these flowers mature, the pollen grains get blown away by the wind. From the wind, the pollen grains may fall at all sorts of places and may even get washed. But if they happen to fall on the stigma of the flower of the same type, then pollination occurs, and such pollination is called wind pollination. So when there is an anther has matured, pollen grains ruptured, wind coming, it took away the pollen grains, stigma lying here, pollen grains going all the places, one of the pollen grains sitting on the stigma, then this kind of a pollination which is taking place with the help of the wind is wind pollination. So let's see the special features of wind pollinated flowers. Special features of wind pollinated flowers. They are usually small and are dull colored. So yes, you are not going to attract any kind of insect. You don't require any kind of the showy thing over there. Okay. So because you don't require the insects to come or get attracted, you don't want them to be of that. So why should the plant waste its energy or waste its resources to make it very bright and colorful when it is not going to use that particular kind of a characteristic? So hence the first thing is the flower will be small, dull, so dull color and not attractive. Okay, it doesn't require it to this thing. But instead of that, what it requires a long anther. Why? Because the anther is small and the petals are here. What will happen? Wind आएगा ही नहीं कभी. वो इधर का इधर ही रहेगा. Got it? If the petals are so big and the anther is so small, what will happen? The pollen grain will be here only. Only if the anther is here, the petals are here, anther is here, तो यहाँ से वो उड़ के जा सकता है. So filament, that is long anther protruding out of the flower so that the pollen grains may be blown away easily. So the second thing is long anther or long filament. Okay, the filament will be long. They produce light pollen so that it can easily be carried away. The pollen grains will be very light so that they can easily be carried away. So the third thing is light pollen grain. Okay, the pollen grain will be very light. And the fourth thing will be that they produce a large quantity of pollen grains. So large quantity of pollen grains. Because the wastage is huge. There's a huge amount of wastage is going to take place when the wind is going to take it along with it. So that's why it is not possible that they can have a limited amount of pollen grain within. There will be a huge quantity, a large quantity of pollen grains will be generated by the flower. So that are the characteristics of a wind pollinated flower. So wind pollinated flower will have, first thing, they will be small, dull colored, not attractive. Secondly, they will have a long anther. That means the filament will be long enough so that the anther is protruding outside the petals so that they can easily be transported by the wind. The third thing is the pollen grain will be light. It won't be heavy, not sticky. It will be light so that they can be easily carried away by the wind. So even a small amount of wind can carry it. A small breeze can carry it. It doesn't require a storm. Okay, it will be just a small amount of wind, which is a small breeze will also be able to carry that particular pollen along with it. Lastly, that the pollen grains will be in large quantity. A large quantity of pollen grains will be required in this particular kind of pollination. So this is the special characteristics of wind pollinated flowers. We now move on to the last kind of pollination, that is water pollination. So the next or the last agent is water. Water pollination and wind pollination to a certain extent is quite similar, because wind was carrying the pollen grains with it in air, whereas in water, the water is going to carry the pollen grains along with it when it flows. So in water pollinated, the pollen grains are going to float on water and they are going to be traveling from one place to another place, and the female flower normally has the stigma either coming up to the top of the bed of the water, or the flower itself will be like a floating flower. Okay, so it may happen that the flower itself is having it's floating on top, so that when the pollen grains are moving in the water, they can get in contact with the stigma of the other floating flower. So that's why normally it is seen that the flowers in case of water pollinated will be much more on the surface, and whereas the male flower can be in the lower part of the flower, but the pollen grains will be some which will be floating on the top. So if the male flower is then it is down, it doesn't matter, but the pollen grains will be able to float. But the female flower will be such that it is normally floating, or it is rising up to the top of the top layer of the water. The example over here is Vallisneria. So Vallisneria plant has got the male flower at the bottom, whereas the female plant will be having the flower coming up to the top. So here we see pollination by water. There are water pollinated flowers also. Vallisneria is one good example of such flowers. These are aquatic plants whose male flowers submerge in the water to start with, get detached when mature, and float on the surface of water. Yeah, so this is one more thing. Vallisneria mein kya hota hai that male flower is grown on the plant which is at the bottom, but when it matures, the flower is going to get detached from the plant and go and float on top of the water. So what they say is that these are aquatic plants whose male flowers submerge in the plant to start with, get detached when mature. So when they mature, they detach and float on the surface of the water. When these floating male flowers happen to come in contact with the female flowers, the pollen grains are transferred to its stigma. So it is not the pollen grains which are coming over here and floating on it. The flower itself is floating on it, because pollen grain, they will be too tiny to float and reach the female stigma. I didn't think about that day. So it will be that the flower itself, the male flower will be floating, and then it comes in contact with the female flower of the plant nearby, and it is going to have that particular kind of pollination taking place. So we see that when these floating male flowers happen to come in contact with the female flower, the pollen grain are transferred to its stigma. Lotus and Trapa, that is Singara, are aquatic plants, but these flowers are exposed to air and are pollinated by insects. So normally we feel that lotus is a flower which is in the water, so it should have been pollinated by water pollination. No, it is not so. What the lotus and Singara, that is Trapa, is a kind of a flower which is not insect pollinated and not the water pollinated, even if it is water plant. So what are the characteristics of the water pollination? The first one is flowers are small and light, so they can easily float on water. So first one is flower light and small, so that they can float. So the reason for that is they should be able to float. That's why they are light and small. Second, pollen grains are produced in large numbers. Of course, the same thing again, because the lot of pollen grains are going to be wasted in the water. That's why large numbers of pollen grains. So large number of pollen grain. And the third one is male and female flowers are born on the separate plants. So male and female on separate plants. Okay, so these are the characteristic features of the water pineapple flowers. So first one is the flower is going to be light and small. So it will be light and small flowers so that they can float on top of the water easily. Secondly, they will be producing a large number of pollen grains, because a huge amount of what wastage will be there when the water is flowing. So with the flowing water, some of the pollen grains will get washed away also. So that's why they need to be large number of pollen grains. And next is the male and the female flowers are not born on the same plant. So all the plants will normally be a unisexual flower, having either only the male flowers or either only the female flowers. So accordingly, the male and the female flowers are born on separate plants and not the same plant. Hence, we can consider them to be as unisexual plants. So these were the three kinds of pollination. So first one was insect pollinated, the next one was wind pollinated, and the third one was water pollinated. So we also studied the different characteristic features of the insect pollinated flowers, wind pollinated flowers, and water pollinated flowers. There is another kind of pollination also possible, and that is called as artificial pollination. So the last one is artificial pollination. आर्टिफिशियल पॉलिनेशन यानी क्या? किसी ने जानबूझ के यहाँ से पॉलन ग्रेन लिया और स्टिग्मा पर लगाया. Okay, you are playing around. So you did this way. You took a particular plant, उसके पॉलन ग्रेन को ऐसे एंथर को ऐसा किया और then you स्टिग्मा के ऐसे ऊपर स्प्रिंकल किया. So yeah, that is artificial pollination. So artificial pollination means transfer of pollen to the stigma artificially. Means you are purposely doing this thing, maybe for fun or maybe for actual doing some kind of experimentation. Okay, it's your choice, but yeah, it is artificial pollination. In ancient times, it was a common practice to sprinkle male flowers of palm on the female flowers. So in ancient time, it used to happen that the palm tree, the male flower of the palm tree was sprinkled on the female flower of the palm tree. So because palm tree are unisexual, so one tree will have only the female flower, one will have only the male flower. So these flowers were taken and so the male flower was taken and it was sprinkled on the female flower. So actually what they were doing was artificial pollination. In modern times, artificial pollination is practiced by plant breeders for developing new varieties. So nowadays you can see that you have got lots and lots of varieties of different kinds of flowers, vegetables and fruits. So this is possible because of such kind of artificial cross-pollination. Like you can see the tulip, which were originally of only 2 or 3 colors, now the tulips are maybe 15-20 colors. You have different shades, you have different types of multiple colors also sometimes. Even the roses are of different colors. So that different colors which has come up is because of such kind of artificial pollination taking place. So artificial pollination has helped the agriculturists to do experimentation and get more different kinds of or different varieties of flowers. So in modern times, artificial pollination is practiced by plant breeders for developing new varieties. The breeders remove the anther in young flowers and cover such flowers by plastic bag. So what they are doing is that they are removing the anther of some flowers and covering by plastic bags. Such flowers are then pollinated with pollen of the plants from the different desired variety. So suppose there is the bisexual flower, and that bisexual flower is normally going through self-pollination only. So what they do is they are going to remove the anther and cover the flower with plastic so that no other pollen grain from the same flower, same plant can enter into the stigma. And then they are going to pollinate it with some another plant's pollen grain. So this way you are purposely making a self-pollinated flower go for a cross-pollination so that you get new varieties of plants. So this is basically what the plant breeders do. So they say they remove the anthers in the young flowers and cover such flower with plastic bags so that the pollination cannot take place by its own, because anther is removed and the stigma is there. But due to plastic bag, no wind pollination I think is possible by its own. Such flowers are then pollinated with pollens from the plants of the desired variety. So whatever the variety they wanted them to be having, they took the pollen grains from that variety and pollinated this particular flower with that particular pollen grain. So this is how the artificial pollination is done. So the next is fertilization and experts. I think we can take it in the next video.